can't come to the phone right now. I'm listening to Party Talk Podcast.
Welcome to the Party Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Cooper Kaimig, here with Chris Kaimig. It's been a little while since you guys have heard from us. I have some unfortunate news. We recorded the podcast last week, right before the game on Thursday, and I lost the file. It just disappeared. It was a pretty good one too. It was one of our better podcasts that we recorded. Some of our predictions that we had, they turned out pretty well, but we're not going to cover those today because we didn't put it out for you guys, so it'd kind of be like cheating. So let's just get into week 17. Chris, you still in the playoffs in any of your leagues? Championships, maybe?
Well, what are you laughing at for? Somebody just squeaked by and beat me by 2 points because my kicker pulled a hammy or something. So you beat me by 2, and then the other 2 leagues I got spanked in. So I'm 0 for 3 and getting ready out for my fantasy baseball drafts.
Yep. I'm in the championship in the 2 leagues. Started off pretty hot in both of them. In the one league, I had David Njoku, who, he has like 16 points. He had a great game. And then in the other league in the championship, I had Breece Hall, who put up 20 plus. And then the Jets defense, which I was pretty scared about, in the first quarter. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be negative. But they had a couple lucky picks and fumbles. So looking pretty good right now. Hopefully, I want to win both of them, but when you play in so many leagues, it feels like, say you got a couple players on your team and then you're facing a team who has the same players and you don't know which one you want to root for. Should they do good? Should they do bad? Because I got Gibbs in one league and then the guy I'm playing in the other has Gibbs. So, I don't really know what I want to happen.
That's one thing I don't like playing in so many leagues. I got so many players here and there. It's kind of confusing. So I just kind of let it ride and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into week 17 predictions. That's this week. It's going to be the championship for most leagues. If you play in a league where week 18 is the championship, I feel bad for you, especially if you have like a Lamar Jackson or, players who are on teams who secured the bye already. They're probably benching their best players. So look to get out of those leagues next year. Maybe change up the format a little bit. All right, let's start with our start of the week. Who's your start of the week, Chris?
Well, there's not many players to pick from because they're all injured or I don't know what's going on. But my gosh, my phone's just been binging every couple minutes. Somebody's injured, somebody's not playing. So I'm going with Dak Prescott. He's got the Lions this week. And if you saw the way Nick Mullins threw against the Lions, he had 400 yards passing. But no, does that count when he's thrown to the team with the different color shirt? I think he had those. He probably had 500 yards passing. So Prescott, I can see going over 400 yards probably up to 4 TDs. That's just going to be a bang show. So grab the popcorn ready.
Yep. And my start of the week, I really need it here. I'm gonna go with Travis Etienne. He's scored below 10 PPR points in back-to-back games, but this is his bounce back week to cap off a really good fantasy season. I think he's top 5 running back this year. He started off really good. He's getting a bunch of touchdowns. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. He's just not getting those big runs anymore. But Trevor Lawrence seems to get injured every week, but then he comes out and plays.
He's not playing.
I believe, yeah. He's just ruled out today. And, they have a great matchup against the Panthers, which there's no reason why they should not run the ball almost all game. Why risk it? That's what they're awful at defending running backs. So the Panthers, they give up the 5th most rushing yards to running backs this year, and by far the most rushing touchdowns. They have 19 rushing touchdowns given up on the whole year. I think that's 5 more than the next team. Another reason I love this spot for ETN is because the Panthers have been very good against the pass this year. They give up the fourth fewest points to quarterbacks, and they're bottom 5 in receptions, yards, targets, you name it, against wide receivers. So teams usually run against the Panthers, and that's what I look for the Jaguars to do. So Travis Etienne is my start of the week. All right, bench of the week. Who's your bench of the week, Chris?
I got a shocker. You guys better be sitting down. Amari Cooper. Oh, that's right. They already played, didn't they?
Yep.
He didn't play, but he put up 50 PPR points, 265 yards. And I'm still going to tell you to bench him. They're playing the Jets. It's not the Texans. Their defense is not even close. They've only given up 1 touchdown to wide receivers, but I bet you that tight end is going to do pretty good. I just got a sneaky feeling Njoku is going to do good. Oh wait, he did. He was running all over him. I mean, they couldn't stop him. What do you have? 125 at halftime, or maybe the first quarter?
Yeah, almost first quarter. That's where he got most of his.
Yeah,
you get 100 something in the
good.
first. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'd look to see who had him on your team, and you started him over Laporta, so that was a pretty good call there.
Yeah.
But you might want to put Laporta in that flex spot.
I'm still trying to figure out what's going to happen. It depends on if Chase plays or not.
Yeah, let's be close. But I can't tell you guys what to do because you guys are all still in the playoffs, and I'm working on my fantasy baseball. So you do you. Good luck. I warned you.
Yep. So I got 2 benches of the weeks. My first one, it's hard to say these, but I just have to. It's gonna be Mike Evans. He's been on an absolute tear this year, but I wouldn't necessarily bench him. But if you have a Nico Collins on the bench somewhere, you might look to start him. Mike Evans, they play against the Saints this week. And if you don't know Mike Evans' history against the Saints, it is terrible. Absolutely terrible. I think he averages like 40-something yards a game, 3 catches a game. He gets shut down. I know they're missing Marshawn Lattimore. I don't think he's going to return this week. So, it kind of benefits Mike Evans a little more, but I just kind of trust that history that he has against them, and it's not very good. But my true bench of the week is going to be Tony Pollard. He's been on a stinker this year, and I wouldn't have been starting him if I had him in any leagues anyways. Tony Pollard has a terrible matchup against the Lions, who have been amazing against running backs this year. They give up the least amount of rushing yards to running backs during the whole season. And now you may be thinking he could make up for it in the receiving game, but the Lions give up the 4th fewest receptions to running backs as well. And they haven't even given up a receiving touchdown to running backs. So, if you have another running back who's in the same stratosphere, maybe James Conner, I'd probably start over Tony Pollard. So Tony Pollard is my bench of the week. Let's take a look at the waiver wire for our possible final week of the fantasy season. Who are you looking at, Chris?
I'm looking at nobody because I don't have anybody left to play. But if you need a wide receiver, because they're dropping like flies this week, Demarcus Robinson of the Rams, 4 straight weeks of over 13 PPR points. So they're playing the weak Giants. If you need somebody that got injured or just that they're not going to play or banged up, just grab him. Also, KJ Osborne of the Vikings. He's moving up to a solid number 2 spot, replacing Addison. I can see a decent game out of him. He's not going to break any records, but he might get you 80 yards and a touchdown. So,
yep, I actually like Osborne this week. He's pretty good last year as well. I know he hasn't done much this year, but hasn't really been fighting for targets. That's a good call right there.
He's healthy. One thing.
So one player I'm looking on the waiver wire, if he's there, is Jeff Wilson. Raheem Mostert got hurt during last week's game. They haven't really said much about him this week, but he hasn't practiced yet all week, which kind of scares me. Raheem Mostert hasn't. During the game, he returned for a few more snaps, and then he just couldn't do it anymore, and he eventually left. If Raheem Mostert is out, Jeff Wilson could have a huge role for the Dolphins. I know they got Achane, but I think they trust Jeff Wilson a little more um, in a very important game this week. Um, the Dolphins are one of the best offenses in the league, and the RBs usually score one or more touchdowns every game. Why would you not want to pick up a free running back on the waiver wire? And really, there's not much of a hurry. You should only be in competition against one player picking up people. So if he's out there, I'd look to add him. Let's take a look at the bet of the week. I got a 6-leg parlay for plus money, 120 odds. I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs, 25 rushing yards. David Montgomery, 25 rushing yards. CeeDee Lamb, 60 receiving yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 40 receiving yards. And then Dak Prescott, 200 passing yards. And Jared Goff, 175 passing yards. Seems pretty easy. They've all cleared these lines almost every week this year. I'm going to be placing one unit on this. And, the bet of the week I had last week, even though the episode didn't get posted, it did end up winning. But we're looking to start a new streak here. We're going to take a look at a new segment. We're going to be going over our New Year's resolutions, in honor of the new year. We're looking to what can we improve upon? What do we want to do better next year? So what are your New Year's resolutions, Chris?
I got a couple of them because I'm so old. I get to pick two. Not going to draft anybody on the Falcons next year. If Arthur Smith is still around, there's no Bijan, there's no Pitts, there's no London in my life. There ain't no way. It's too big of a headache, man. I'm just going to pass them. And if I got to get Tony Pollard again, I'll take damn Tony Pollard, but I'm not going with Bijan again.
I think I think I've drafted Kyle Pitts every year he's been in the league, and I get disappointed every year, but he moves lower and lower down the draft board, and I'm like, this is the year. No, it's not. And next year is probably not the year either.
Yeah, if he's around the 10th round, I'll take a look at him. But the other thing I've learned, and I've kind of always done this, 1 year I had Dak Prescott as my quarterback, and my team was 5-0, and I was beating everybody, and that's the year he got hurt. And I had a backup, but he was a way down there in the list. So what I've been doing ever since that is I grab two decent quarterbacks. I mean, two top 12 quarterbacks, even two top 10s. If I got to take them back-to-back rounds, 5th or 6th, I do that every year. So that's something I'm going to continue to do. This year I was I took a lot of Mahomes early, 2nd, 3rd round, probably 2nd round because I thought he was the man. He did terrible this year, so he kind of hurt me. But I always had a backup, and I had C.J. Stroud, and he saved me quite a few games this year. So grabbing two quarterbacks before you get down to the nitty-gritty because it drops off after about 14, I think. But I'm looking two top 10s again probably next year.
Yeah. One of my New Year's resolutions, thing that I kind of learned, I'm going to be looking to target a very good tight end in all my drafts next year. In the 4 leagues that I play in, I had at least a top 4 tight end. I had Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta. I drafted him in 2 leagues. I had Trey McBride. I don't think he's top 5 total, but points per game he is. And I did very good in all these leagues with a good tight end. The best part about it is, half the league is not going to have a good tight end, so you just have that great positional matchup. You're going to score more points than their tight end, so it gets you a little advantage. So next year I'm going to be looking to draft one in the first 6 rounds at least. And yeah. And then as far as quarterbacks go, kind of what you talked about, I've never really drafted 2 quarterbacks. It's something I could do because I had Kirk Cousins in 2 of my leagues this year. One of them I traded him the week before he got hurt. And then the other one, Kyler Murray was still on the waiver wire. And I listened to myself on this podcast and I picked him up. So I got lucky. But if I didn't have, Kyler Murray to back up Kirk Cousins, it would have been bad. I'd be starting Josh Dobbs or Nick Mullins. And then another New Year's resolution that I have going in next year, I'm gonna try and avoid the running back dead zone. Sadly, I drafted a lot of Alexander Madison and Cam Akers and Damian Pierce this year. Did not work out for me. And those were running backs who were going, rounds 4 through 6, 4 through 7. It didn't work out for me. It could be a little different next year, but I'm gonna try and do a little draft strategy. I'm gonna call it the AOTA, the AOTA. Basically, all of the above draft. I want to start off with a number one running back, number one wide receiver, get a top 5 quarterback, top 5 tight end, and just kind of go get my guys who I know are going to be good. And I'm going to try it in at least one of my leagues and see how it turns out. Let's talk
I'm
about
doing that sleeper league.
Hmm?
I got a top quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So that's where I think I'm going to keep those top 4, and then just kind of go from there and fill in holes.
Yeah. Let's talk
Gives
about
you
some.
good balance, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about some players who you are kind of looking to target next year in drafts. Who you got, Chris?
I hate to say this, but I'm thinking Justin Fields right now. If the Bears grab Marvin Harrison Jr., that's going to open up that offense so much. They've got 3 decent running backs. I mean, nobody can really start anymore, but they're all decent. So they're not going to have to pay those guys much. They can go out and get Harrison. They got DJ out there. They got Cole Kmet. I mean, they got a pretty good offense. If he can just settle down and throw a little better passing percentage, he can always run. And I love him when he runs, but I think Justin Fields is going to be vastly improved next year. And I hate to say it, the Bears are probably going to be pretty good too.
Yeah.
They got a good defense. I seen you stuck the Bears defense. Are you going to start them this week?
I'm thinking about it over the Broncos. I might end up doing it.
Yeah, but they added some pieces. They added Sweat to the team, and they vastly improved there. And also looking at Tank Dell and CJ Stroud, I can see that team. Another year under the belt, season 2 for those guys. I can see that team really taking off next year.
Yeah. When I was writing down my players who I wanted to target, the first ones that came to mind were Tank Dell and the CJ Stroud stack, and then I read yours, so I didn't start off with it. But yeah, I'd love to have Tank Dell, CJ Stroud stack. I think that would be amazing. They played so well together this year.
You throw Brown in there too.
What was
Brown
that?
and what's the Brown's name?
Noah
Brown and
Nico
their other
Collins.
I mean, they're going to be loaded.
Yeah. Some other players who I'm looking to target next year. I want to grab one of the young tight ends who have showed out this year. Either Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid. Whichever one is going later in drafts, which will probably be Kincaid, I'm going to look to get. If Laporta or Trey McBride's at a decent spot, I'd probably grab one of those. And then there's just some younger running backs. Tyjae Spears, maybe. Ty Chandler. JSN is a player. I mean, if Lockett doesn't return, I know he's getting older. It might be his contract year. I'm not too sure. But if Lockett's gone out of the Seahawks team, I'd like to get JSN. And then the player who I need to get next year is Breece Hall. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, this offense should be, a lot better. Breece Hall's a top 5 running back this year. And, yeah, I need to get him on the team. And Jahmyr Gibbs, too. Just some of those younger running backs.
Gibbs is the man.
Yep.
Top 5.
I don't even care if he's splitting the load with Dave Montgomery. He looks fantastic out there. He looks faster than anybody else I've seen. Like, it's crazy. Alrighty. That'll do it for the Party Talk podcast. We'll catch you next time.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.